Welcome back, folks, to Global Village. I'm Buddy Kunan, and tonight's topic, as you saw from the video, is Brazil Sensational. And joining us still is none other than the Ambassador of Brazil to the Philippines, His Excellency Rodrigo do Amaral Souza. Ambassador Souza, welcome to our third and final segment. And as usual, I've saved the best for last. And it's talking about your beautiful country and everything that we can see there, and why we should all visit Brazil if and when we have a chance to do so. So let's talk about that video we just showed. It shows Brazil as being so diverse. A lot of things to do, multiple, different, landscapes, and because it's so huge.
That's right. Well, the video featured many places in the northeast region of Brazil, Ceará, Pernambuco, Bahia. We have fantastic beaches there, and they are relatively close to Europe. So, and there is a very strong regional culture as well. The regional food is typical. For instance, in Bahia, the influence of the African cuisine is notable. And I think you mentioned the diversity.
Yes.
We have so many different landscapes that go from the Amazon rainforest to our wetlands in the center-west to the beaches all along our coastline. We have a huge coastline. And we have cosmopolitan cities like São Paulo, one of the most beautiful cities in the world, Rio de Janeiro. The most impressive waterfalls in the world, the Iguaçu Falls, at the triple border, Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. And I think that most of all, we have our people, Brazilians. Brazilians are very friendly, warm, hospitable. We love to receive tourists. And I think that any tourist who arrives in Brazil will feel very much at home.
And you can probably feel the electricity, perhaps, in the passion. I mean, Brazilians are very passionate people. It shows in the things you do. It shows in your football. It shows in sports, in the way you live, in your music, in your dances. And I think this is one of the main selling points as well of Brazil, the experience of being in Brazil with the people.
Well, precisely this week, we are celebrating our most popular street party, that is the Carnival.
Is it this week, huh?
Carnival,
very good.
well, it's first of all, it's a holiday in Brazil.
Yes, yes.
And in many cities, people go to the street and dance and celebrate all day long during 3 or 4 days in a row. And they just dance and sing. And it's a very happy celebration.
That must
very
be
joyful.
That must be the most famous carnival in the world. The Rio.
I think it is.
The Rio Carnival.
I think it is. We have different traditions within the country regarding carnival. The most famous one is in Rio de Janeiro at the Samba Drome. It's a parade of the schools of samba schools. They compete against each other.
Oh wow!
And they have their different fans. And it's a very serious thing in Brazil.
And that must be a sight to see, I mean, just to witness all these super talented dancers.
Yes, there is a stadium, the Samba Stadium. It's called the Samba Drome. And it can accommodate up to 50,000 people.
Wow, wow. Again, another sign, another, just another indication of how passionate your people approach life. I mean, to have this samba, like a Samba Olympics, so to speak, would be an amazing thing to see. Let's talk about, Ambassador. How are tourist numbers from Asia going to Brazil? I mean, what is the traffic like? Because it's so far away.
Yeah, that's right. We had a peak in 2016 because of the Summer Olympics. That was a moment when the inflow of tourists was higher. But, we receive approximately 6 million tourists, 6 to 7 million tourists, foreign tourists, per year. And most of them come from the neighboring countries, Argentina, all other countries in South America, and from Europe.
Yes.
From Asia, we receive mostly Chinese and Japanese.
Yes, yes.
And then Koreans.
Yes.
The inflow of tourists from the Philippines is still relatively modest.
How many are we talking about, Ambassador, from here? I mean, I don't know if you can keep track of them because we don't need
Yeah.
visas to go to your country.
Yes, that's the
Yes.
reason why it's difficult to have a precise estimate. But I would say something like 10,000 per year.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not big, but it's also not small given the distance of
That's right.
Brazil.
We
Yes.
had last year, in 2017, 6,000 Brazilian residents that visited the Philippines. But that's not precisely the total number of Brazilians, because we have many Brazilians who live in Asia, and many of them live in countries where in wintertime it's very cold.
Yes,
So they
yes.
come to the Philippines and they are
Yes.
registered as tourists from those countries and not from
Not really from Brazil.
because they are not Brazilian residents.
Yes.
That's especially true with regard to Japan. We have a very strong community in Japan, and many of them come to the Philippines to enjoy their holidays.
And
So
about
I would say that much more than 6,000, at least 10,000.
yes, and there are about 300,000 Brazilians of Japanese descent living
That's
in
right.
Japan.
That's
So I guess we get some of that coming here, but when they come here, then they would be registered as Japanese.
And one
Japanese
interesting
tourists.
phenomenon is that we have many Brazilians living in Japan married to Filipinas.
Really?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. I receive so often consultations and inquiries from Brazilians that want to get married or that want to make some bureaucratic proceeding here.
Very good. How about locally, Ambassador, here in Manila, in the Philippines, in Greater Philippines? How many Brazilians do you have here? What's the community like?
Around, all in all, across the country, 500 Brazilians. And I would say that 70% in Metro Manila and the remaining 30% spread around the country.
What is the community like? Is composed of, are they here for, I said, for instance, retirees or workers or
There are
immigrants?
some retirees, but most of them are expatriates that work for foreign companies, multinationals, call centers. Some women married to Filipinos and vice versa. Some religious
Okay.
persons, either it could be priests or pastors. And we have some Brazilian churches that are established here and some Filipino churches that are established in Brazil as
How
well.
interesting. How interesting.
And also models,
yes, of course.
actors,
Yes, yes.
football coaches, capoeira masters, and so on.
There was actually a wave of models that came here, I think a few years ago, because of the work opportunity
Yeah, that's
here in
right.
the Philippines. Because of there's high demand for that look that the Brazilian models had, and I
Yeah,
have to
they
say,
are still
very, very
arriving.
popular.
They're still
Yes.
arriving, and some of them have become celebrities here.
Of
Like
course.
Daniel Matsunaga, for instance,
That's an example of Japanese Brazilian
Japanese Brazilian,
Yes.
or Diana Menezes.
who married a Filipino actor.
That's right.
So very good integration there, and as you
all
mentioned, these names, these people you mentioned, have become really household names almost in the Philippines,
Yes.
especially for our star-struck population. So
right.
let's talk about business, ambassador, between Brazil and the Philippines. What is business like? Is there a lot of trade that goes on between two countries?
Yes, it reached the peak bilateral trade of $1.2 billion
Okay.
in 2008. But since then, with the economic crisis and the decline in the price of commodities,
Yes.
it has decreased a little bit. On our part, it is concentrated on one single product,
Okay.
iron ore.
Okay. Okay.
It's used in construction.
Okay.
It's around 70% of our exports. But we also export some other agricultural commodities, meat. We have
course,
been exporting meat
yes,
for some
yes.
time. And even some shoes or flip-flops like Havaianas.
Havaianas, very popular brand here.
And we have been trying to diversify our export basket. So in last year, we have exported airplanes. You know that Brazil has a very important aircraft manufacturer, Embraer. has
Yes.
begun exporting commercial planes, and we managed to clinch a deal with the Philippine Air Force to sell 6 Super Tucanos
Oh, very
to the
good.
Philippine Air Force.
Very good.
That operation alone represents $100 million.
Wow.
So
And if your airplanes successfully operate in Brazil, where it's huge, huge
that's
land
right.
area and and similar weather and terrain as well,
We
then
think
I'm
that they
sure
would be very suited
definitely.
to the Filipino situation, where you have many small-sized airports.
Yes.
So these aircraft are perfectly suited for these kinds of runways and
Yes.
airports.
Ambassador, how about what are your plans, or for the Philippines, for Philippine-Brazilian relations moving forward this year and next?
Yes, well, we are probably having a bilateral political consultation meeting in the Philippines this year, and we will have a high-level Brazilian authority presiding over our delegation. And we have been trying to confirm a visit either by our foreign minister or by our president. And our foreign minister should come to Southeast Asia during the year. And if he confirms that visit, surely he will come to the Philippines.
Very good. When that's a visit we will all look forward to, and hopefully we can talk more about how we can strengthen Philippine-Brazilian ties in the run-up, hopefully the visit,
Okay.
if and when it pushes through. Ambassador, before we go, would you like to say something to the audience? Maybe a message for
Well,
Visit Brazil?
I usually refer to the Filipinos as the Brazilians of Asia
Very good.
because of the similarity in our national character. And I would encourage all the Filipinos to come to Brazil, to come to visit Brazil, because you will feel at home. You will find in Brazil the Filipinos of South America.
Very good. Ambassador, thank you so much for coming to the show, and I'm sure our viewers have learned so much about your country. I'm sure I have. So
Thank
thank
you
you
for
so
having
much.
me.
No, pleasure. The pleasure is ours, sir. And if you have any guests from Brazil coming over, we would love to have them as guests here
Okay.
on Global Village, here in GNN. Thank
Be
you,
my
sir.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show called Visit Brazil Sensational. Join us again next week here in Global Village, and let us take you around the world. Till then, you all have a good evening.